All right, everybody, welcome to another video. And in this video today, we're going to be talking about how to tell the story from each time frame. And really what this video is going to be based upon is really how to read candles on each time frame and how to correlate those time frames in order to find the best entries possible for you to take on the 30-minute, for you to take on the 15, 30, 1 hour time frames. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to break these charts down, how to take a look at each time frame, tell the story. And what I always like to tell people is when we're looking at these charts and we're going from time frame to time frame, what the way we're looking at it is it's almost like each time frame is a chapter in a book. And some of you guys have read like mystery books and books about how to, figure out crimes. And this is pretty much the way I like to look at doing a top-down analysis is every single time frame is a chapter to the story, and each chapter is going to give us clues on the final answer of what's going on. And that final answer is how can we find the cleanest ranges? How can we find the cleanest entries to take positions and, basically take money out of the markets, right? So we're going to talk about that here today. And the way I like to do it is I like to start on the monthly time frame. And you got to remember that the higher the time frame with trading, the stronger the data. So higher time frames are going to give you the overall direction of where price wants to go. And our job as traders is to find those little entries on the lower time frame, get a piece of the move, and get on out of there, right? So starting off on the monthly time frame here, if we're looking at this is gold, but you guys can do this same exact approach and use these same exact techniques on any pair you'd like, whether it be gold, whether it be pound yen, whether it be Forex, whether it be indices, crypto, whatever it is that you guys are trading, as long as it has candles and it has to do with price action, which it does, then you can go ahead and use this technique and strategy that I'm going to show you here today. So first thing is first, we are looking at the monthly time frame. And one thing we notice, right? Again, our job right now is to figure out clues. So as I look at this time frame, you're basically going to hear me thinking out loud right now, right? So if I'm looking at this monthly time frame, what am I looking at? What am I seeing here, right? Well, some obvious things here is that I know that we are in the all-time high rejection zone here on gold, right? We can clearly tell that this is a rejection zone, and that price comes into this area and every time has rejected, right? Now let's take a look at those rejections. Well, we have one right here, a very, very strong rejection to the top side. We also have a few more very strong rejections right here. And then we also have a third attempt to close and trade above this range, but no good as well, right? And if we notice that every time we got those rejections, they were followed by a resistance being formed and price pushing down, right? Same thing here. You had a resistance formed and price went ahead and pushed on down. And now at current price, what we're seeing is that resistance formed and we can expect price to continue down, right? Those are some clues. Those are some signs that the market is giving us right now. And that's what we have to use as our advantage, right? As traders, we have price action. We have previous data that we can go based off of, right? So understanding what price has done in this area before will give us a very, very high or it'll give us a good hand in reading where price wants to go next, right? So if we look at where this current price is on the monthly time frame, we understand that we are in that rejection zone. We understand that we have created that resistance that we're talking about. But what's one thing that we see here? We see a little bit of consolidation starting to take place, right? A couple candles kind of closing one after another, starting to look like a barcode a little bit. And why, right? Why is that happening? Well, what's one thing we notice, right? We created that resistance here after a nice rejection. This candle went ahead and closed bearish. And where did the candle close bearish? The candle closed right below this range here, right? And if a candle's closing below this range, well, there's a high probability that the candles following it will come down and retest the zone here. So this becomes your new range, right? Let's just call it go ahead and call it the yellow range, right? This is the range that price is breaking back into now. Therefore, we should see a move to retest those lows. Now, one thing that happened recently on gold was price threw us for a loop a little bit, right? We noticed that this candle, let's get rid of these arrows, this candle here broke the high of the previous candle and closed back above the range. Now, very interesting. Now, along with price action, there comes a little bit of knowledge that you need to have based on fundamentals, based on economics, right? On what's going on with that currency. In terms of gold versus the US dollar here, as of today is August 12th, 2023, we understand that the uncertainty and the doubt in the US dollar is starting to dwindle a little bit. Therefore, gold should start to make its way down, right? The reason that you've seen this push up was a lot of uncertainty, a lot of doubt in the US dollar, in the US economy. But now that that has started to calm down a little bit, we see gold starting to move down. So we are bearish on the month, or we did close bullish on the monthly time frame, but we are seeing a very strong push down now. Lots of bearish volume, being that there's no top wick on this candle, and we may start to now close below this support here to the left hand side. Let me mark it off here for you guys. This one right here. And if we do close below there, then price should be good to continue down, right? Price action, we get a closure below that range. You leave a wick to fill, and the next candle will most likely make its way down to retest the bottom of that range. So that's what we could potentially see, right? Or what the other side of this is that we could potentially see this candle now, this one right here, start to respect the low of the previous candle and make its way back up, flip bullish, and then continue on up to attempt to break these highs again. So on every time frame, there's in a way two scenarios, right? How can we look to anticipate price moving up, and also how can we anticipate price moving down, right? So I think those are all the clues that the monthly time frame has given us. So with all that in mind, let's go ahead and read now, finish the chapter, and turn the page over to the next one. So now with the details and the clues that we have in mind from the monthly time frame, aka the monthly chapter, let's go ahead and try and make sense of that here on the weekly time frame. So, and this is how I do my analysis day in and day out. I think I forgot to say this in the beginning of the video, but every day when I come to the charts, I erase all my lines, my zones, my markups, and I run a completely new top-down analysis, pretty much doing exactly what I'm sharing with you guys right here, right now. So now that we're looking at the weekly time frame, right, we have this push up that we noticed that happened, right? A very strong push up, and then price created a resistance. And as price created a resistance, it also had a support, right? So if we can get rid of the arrows here and draw some zones, this was the zone that we were trading in, right? You had a strong resistance up here at 2020. You also had a very strong support, and you were pretty much trading on gold within this yellow range. Now, what we see here is price closing below the range, right? This candle closed below the range, indicating that we should come down. Now we had clean traffic to the left. We had this area right here to take a look at securing or targeting, right, for our profits. And price, failed to get down there. And what happened here, right? Price created a support. We see a support that was formed. And as that support was formed, price tried to come back into the yellow range, right? What do we notice here? A big time rejection wick. So this candle here tried to close back above the support to the left hand side, but was unable to do that, right? And then the next candle came up, tried to and attempted for a second time to come back in that range, but wasn't able to do it, closed bullish, but back below the range, right? And then the next candle now came up, created that resistance after rejecting, failing to break the previous candle high, leaving a wick for the next candle to drive in. And then now you see this clean candle and a clean push down, right? And then what happened? We started to create a resistance or a support. I'm sorry. So now we have a brand new support here. And now what's going on, right? Price is now creating that support to attempt to push back up here one more time. So we see another rejection, right? This candle tried to attempt to push up, close above, try to trade back in the yellow range, didn't happen. This candle now failed to break the high of the previous candle, created a resistance. And now what we're looking at here is nowhere was price able now to get back into this yellow range, right? We see the rejections here, a resistance, and now we see rejections here with the resistance form. Now, last time we came up into this area, price created that resistance, and this candle was able to drive down. So what did we expect gold to do after creating that resistance here 2 weeks ago? We expected it to mimic this candle here to the left-hand side. And what did price do? It took 2 candles, but what did we do? We mimicked that move there. So we were all over the sells over the last 2 weeks because we understood where price action was going. So now that we know where price is, we can say one last thing here, right? If we're going to draw that support there again, we know that price created a support, came on down. Let me draw this a little bit better. We know that price attempted to get back into the yellow range, was unable to do that. It created a resistance and filled the purple range, right? If we're creating the resistance right here, then there's a very, very high chance that price will come down to retest that support. And that's what we've seen happen. So now if you look at current price, we have closed. And where did we close, ladies and gentlemen? Outside of the purple range, right? So if we're looking at new ranges here, we have to kind of scan, right? We have clean traffic to the left. We have clean traffic to the left, got clean traffic. Oh, what is this? That can be an area, that could be a very strong level right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep an eye on that range. And what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, if price is closing below the range here at 1920, where is the next range? And that next range is coming down here, right? That next range is at somewhere right around 1870, 1875. And we can just call this, for visual sake, the orange range here, right? Oh, one sec. This is the orange range. And now price is going to look to do something in this orange range. So what are we expecting? Well, we're expecting price to continue down after creating a top wick to fill the rest of the range. And sometime next week by Friday, we should see something like this, right? Where price had pushed down. Now, will we close below 1875 or above? That we don't know. But one thing that we do know is that if price is closing back below this range and entering the orange range here, the next candle should fill that range, right? So that's what we're expecting here on gold coming up, based off of these time frames. Now, if we're going to find positions, right, and if we're going to look to take opportunities and take advantage of the market here, how are we going to do that? We're going to go down to the daily time frame. And if we notice, the daily candle did close bullish, right? If you notice right here, this daily candle closed bullish on, it is Saturday today, so it is the weekend. The markets are closed. We noticed that we had a candle close with no bottom wick right at this support level, right? And then the next candle closed bullish. And that would make total sense, right? And the reason that would make total sense is because if the weekly candle is going to open back up, right, which it is on Monday, let's get rid of all these drawings, then what does it need to do first, right? If we've closed below the range here, and now we're expecting a new weekly candle to drive, what does that weekly candle have to do first? That weekly candle has to create a top wick, right? We notice that 85% of candles all have top and bottom wicks. So the next candle opening up should be no different. So if we're expecting that top wick, which we are, and when I say a top wick, this is what I mean. The candle is going to move, right? And this is the top wick we're talking about, right? If you notice, if we look at the previous candles, we'll notice you have a top wick, you have a top wick, you have a top wick, right? So mostly all candles, 85% of them have this top and bottom wick. And if we're going to create a top wick on the weekly time frame, well, then what can we expect here on the daily, right? Daily close bullish. So that weekly candle that may take a day or two to create that top wick. So what does that mean for us traders that trade on a day-to-day basis? Is that we need to go based off, we need to take our positions on any given day, and we need to base them off of the previous daily candle closure. And if this daily candle closed bullish, that makes total sense, right? For the next day or two or three to continue on up to create that weekly top wick. So what are we expecting here on Monday? Well, we're expecting to look to take buys, right? We have a bullish candle closure. We're expecting the next candle after making a bottom wick to be able to push up, fill that wick, and that will be the start of that weekly top wick, right? And then you may see that weekly top wick come into this range, right? It may come into this range here, right? It may come up to this range here. Yeah, it may even come to this range up here. We don't know that yet. We have to follow price action. But one thing that we do know is that if that weekly candle is being created, then the final piece of it will end with a resistance here, right? And once you get a resistance, you can confidently say that that weekly top wick has been formed. And now over the next 3 days or so, price should be able to continue down, right? So very simple example here. This could be Monday, right? Monday's candle, Tuesday's candle, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And that would make a whole lot of sense based off of price action on the daily and on the weekly time frame. So do you see how we're putting these two time frames together now? Right? Do you see how we're anticipating the buys because we understand that that weekly candle needs some time to create that top wick. So these are things now that we're putting these clues together from time frame to time frame to get a good read on where we can execute positions on any given day. So if we understand that the daily is now bullish, we do need to spend a day or two or three to come up to create that top wick on the weekly time frame. Well, now we need to look for positions, right? So looking at the 4-hour, we can trap price and we understand that there's a support here, there's a resistance there, there's clean traffic to the left-hand side for us to take buys. And then if we look left, there's also clean traffic, I would say below this support level here to continue to take sells coming on down, right? So going back now we need to see what that looks like on the 1-hour time frame, right? So the 1-hour time frame has a very strong support. It also has a very strong resistance, and this is the range that we're currently trading in on the 1-hour time frame right here. So I think if we could get a breakout and a closure outside of this range, that's how we can look to take our position. So if we're looking to take positions here with the current price action, what we're looking at is, hey, what's above and what's in below us here, right? Well, one thing we know is we have some rejections to the downside, lots of rejection, major support here. If we look left, we can see if there's any clean traffic. It looks pretty clean coming on down to continue down and tap into that support. But we're going to need range 2 buys. And if you guys aren't familiar with the range 1, range 2 concept, go ahead and check out that video on the channel. But what we would be looking for here is range 2 sells. I'm sorry. So what I mean by that is very simple. We need price to close below, create some sort of resistance, break this support level here, and then we can take our breakout or our moves coming back down into clean traffic. So, and what that allows us to do is it allows us to avoid fake outs and make sure price is going to continue on in that right direction, right? So other than that, we are looking for buys, right? Mainly looking for buys here today. So what you can do is you can look for an opportunity to take your buys as price closes above that resistance to the left-hand side. What do we notice here? There's clean traffic moving on up. This is the range that we would like to trade in. And what you would most likely see is a little bit of consolidation here on the opening of the daily candle. And that means during the Asian session and the London session, you may get a bit of consolidation, maybe some bearish candles, maybe some, rejections to the downside. But ultimately, what we're doing is we're looking for clean buys that we can confidently take above this range after getting out of the consolidation, this would be your breakout candle, and then we would look to take buys coming up. So as you can see, each time frame gives you clues. They kind of tell a story on where the higher time frames are going to go. And then if we're looking for, buys based off the previous daily candle, also based off of the monthly candle needing to make that top wick, then this is how we put the story together, right? So hopefully this helps. It's a quick video, and that is the video on how to really correlate time frames and tell a story from the top all the way down to the bottom so you could find your position. So hopefully that helped, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace.